Chilling tales for dark nights.
I, Jonathan Harker, lawyer's clerk, am writing this journal in the hope that if misfortune overtakes me, it may one day come to the eyes of those who love me. I set out from London on the last day of April to visit one of our clients in Eastern Europe. On May the 3rd, I arrived in Budapest and came after nightfall to Klausenburg on the border of Transylvania. At Bistritz, there was a letter of welcome for me from our client, informing me that his carriage would await me. It was signed, Dracula.
Coachman, where are we?
We are nearing the Portugal Pass, my young hare.
The road was rough, but still we seemed to fly over it with feverish haste.
The crazy coach rocked from its great leather springs. The mountains seemed to come nearer to us on either side. There were black, rolling clouds overhead, and in the air, the heavy, oppressive sense of thunder. We carried on into the darkness of the pass. I struck a match. It was within a few minutes of midnight, and the baying of wolves sounded nearer and nearer, as if they were closing round us from every side. Just then, the moon broke through the black clouds, and by its light, I saw around us a ring of wolves running alongside the carriage in silence, with white teeth and lolling red tongues, with long, sinewy limbs and shaggy hair. The carriage had pulled up in the courtyard of a vast, ruined castle. The coachman was nowhere to be seen.
Welcome to my house. Come freely. Go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring.
Count Dracula?
I am Dracula.
The face was strong, very strong, aquiline. The mouth, so far as I could see it under the heavy mustache, was fixed and rather cruel-looking, with very sharp white teeth.
You hear them, Mr. Harker.
The wolves?
The children of the night. As you say, Mr. Harker, the wolves. Listen. Come now. There are many things you must tell me tomorrow of England and of the estate there you have purchased for me.
Ah, yes.
The estate is called Carfax, I believe.
Yes, that is so.
But now I will detain you no longer. You will find your room in readiness, and I advise you not to leave it during the night.
The castle was on the very edge of a terrible precipice. A stone falling from the window would fall 1,000 feet without touching anything. I explored. There are doors everywhere, all of them locked. The door to the great hall, the door to the courtyard, every door in the castle is closed, bolted against me. So Dracula is a prison, and I am a prisoner. The next night, I could not sleep. So after a few hours, I got up, and lighting my candle, I placed my shaving mirror on the dressing table and was just beginning to shave.
You feel rested, Mr. Harker.
I had not seen him, although the reflection of the glass covered the whole room behind me. I turned to the glass again. Count Dracula was close to me, and I could see him over my shoulder, but there was no reflection of him in the mirror. It was blank. I started and cut myself on the side of the throat. The blood was trickling down my neck.
Give me that.
My mirror!
The blood. The blood. Wipe the blood from your face, Mr. Harker, and take care how you cut yourself. It is more dangerous than you think in this country.
When I awoke, I found most of my things were gone. My passport, my notes, my letter of credit. I could find no trace of them anywhere, and my door was locked from the outside. Count Dracula.
Yes, my young friend.
Well, what of me? When am I free? When can I leave this place?
Free, Mr. Harker? You are always free. You want to leave? Would you like to leave tonight?
Yes, in God's name.
My dear young friend, not an hour shall you wait in my house against your will. Come, follow me. Your door seems to be bolted. How strange. Your door is locked.
In God's name, open it!
As you will, Mr. Harker. You English have a proverb which is very close to my heart. Welcome the coming, speed departing guests. Good night, Mr. Harker.
Shut the door! Shut the door! Shut the door! Shut the door!
The door is shut, Mr. Harker. I take it you will remain?
Morning, June the 30th. These may be the last words I ever write in this diary. God preserve my sanity. I've never seen Count Dracula by day. At sunrise, at the first cockcrow, he's gone. I don't understand these things. I only know that the wolves are baying that he is a man with sharp teeth and no blood in his face. He casts no shadow. He cannot be seen in a glass, and he moves like a bat across the sheer face of the castle walls. He eats no food and is mortally afraid of the crucifix. The door is shut, and the chains rattle. In the courtyard and down the rocky way, the roll of heavy wheels, the cracks of whips. Help! 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 I'm alone in the castle! I'm alone in the castle! Help! I'm alone! I'm alone in the castle! I'm alone! I'm alone!
Telegram. Seward. Purfleet to Van Helsing, Amsterdam. Lucy Westendra in alarming condition. Cannot diagnose. Come at once, Seward.
Telegram Van Helsing, Amsterdam to Seward Purfleet. I am on my way to you. Please arrange for me to examine your patient immediately my arrival. Van Helsing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Seward. I should now explain that 6 months before the events recorded here, I'd become engaged to a young lady, Lucy Westendra. We were to be married in the spring. My old teacher, Professor Van Helsing, arrived at 4 the next afternoon, and I took him at once to Lucy's house. She lay in her bed, asleep. She was ghastly, chalky pale. The red had seemed to have gone even from her lips and gums, and the bones of her face stood out.
Young miss is bad, very bad. She must have blood or she will die. She is not anemic. The qualitative analysis of her blood is quite normal condition. It is strange. I do not like to think how strange. Look! My God! Her throat! Look!
The black velvet band that she had always worn dragged up a little and showed a red mark on her throat. Just over the external jugular vein were 2 punctures, not large, but not wholesome looking. The edges were white and worn looking. Well, what is it, Professor? What's wrong with her? Speak frankly. You can tell me the worst.
I wish I could, Seward. I wish I could, but I do not dare.
But won't you tell me anything?
I will tell you this. Your young lady is in a danger greater than death. You must believe me. If you leave her for one moment and harm befalls, you will not sleep easy thereafter.
September 8th. I sat up all night with Lucy.
Arthur, I'm afraid.
Hush, my dear. You can sleep tonight. I'm watching you. Nothing can happen. And I promise, at any sign of a bad dream, if I see anything, I'll wake you at once.
You will? Will you really? Then I'll sleep.
September the 11th. Still quoting from my private journals. This time I received a message from St. John's Hospital. Some serious complications in a patient. My immediate presence in London was imperative. I had no choice.
I write this and leave it to be seen so that no one may get into trouble from me. I went to bed as usual, taking care that the window was closed as Dr. Van Helsing had directed. About 2 a.m, I awakened. I went to the door, called out, "Arthur! Arthur!" There was no answer. Something's broken the window. I'm in the room alone. I dare not go out. The house seems to be empty, the air full of specks floating, circling in the draught from the window. The light burns blue, dim. What am I to do? Something very sweet and very bitter all around me, like I'm sinking into deep water. There's singing in my ears.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood.
September 12th. Late. Only resolution and habit can let me make an entry tonight. We found her sprawled on the floor, and there was a draught in the room from the broken window. The throat was bare, showing the 2 wounds, looking horribly white and mangled.
We are too late, my friend. We have failed. God's will be done.
She is dying?
Yes, she's dying. Stay beside her. It will make much difference, mark me, whether she dies conscious or in her sleep.
It was late in the afternoon before she opened her eyes.
Arthur. Oh, my love. I'm so glad you've come.
I took her hand and knelt beside her. Her breath came and went like a tired, peaceful child. And then the light from the setting sun fell on her face, and then insensibly a strange change came over her. Her eyes grew suddenly dull and hard. Her breathing was heavy. Her mouth opened, and the pale gums drawn back made the teeth look large and sharp.
Arthur. Oh, my love. I'm so glad you've come. Kiss me. Bend down and kiss me.
Run for your life! Run for your living souls first!
Lucy!
She's dead.
Poor girl. Lie in peace at last.
Not so. It is only the beginning. Wait and see.
Westminster Gazette, September 25th. A Hampstead mystery. The Kensington Horror and the Woman in Black are vividly recalled to mind by a series of events that have taken place recently in the neighborhood of Hampstead. Several cases have occurred of young children straying from home or failing to return from playing on the heath. In all these cases, the children have given as their excuse that they have been with a beautiful lady who offered them chocolates. In each case, the child was found to be slightly torn or wounded in the throat. The wound seemed such as might be made by a rat or a small dog.
Another child injured by the beautiful lady. We have just received intelligence that another child, missed last night, was only discovered late in the morning. It has the same tiny wound in the throat. Well, Seward, what do you think of that? You mean to tell me, my friend, that you still have no suspicions as to what poor Lucy died of?
Nervous prostration, following on great loss or waste of blood.
And how was that blood lost or wasted? You are a clever man, my friend, and a good doctor, but you do not believe that there are things that you cannot understand. You are wrong, Stuart. Are you aware of all the mysteries of life and death? Can you tell me why in the pampas there are bats that come at night and open the veins of cattle and horses and suck dry those veins? Huh? How on some islands of the western seas there are bats which hang on trees all day, and then when the sailors sleep on deck because it is hot, sweep down on them, and then in the morning are found dead men, as white as Miss Lucy was.
I understand none of these things.
After tonight, Stuart, if you dare to come with me, perhaps then you will understand.
September 29th, before dawn. Now it's done, and I would sooner die 1,000 deaths than to live again what I did this night.
We will spend the night, you and I, here in this churchyard where Miss Lucy is buried. We enter the tomb,
And then
we open the coffin. You shall yet be
take care, Van Helsing.
Miss Lucy is dead. Is it not so? Then there can be no wrong to her. But if she's not dead...
With some difficulty, we found the West Ender tomb. I took up my place behind a yew tree on the one side of the tomb, Van Helsing on the other. I was chilled and frightened. Suddenly I saw something moving between the two yew trees, a dim, white figure which held something at its breast. The figure stopped. I could not see the face, for it was bent down over what I saw to be a fair-haired child. There was a sharp little cry, such as a child gives in his sleep, or a dog as it lies before the fire and dreams. Then the thing saw us. She drew back with an angry snarl. Her lovely, blood-stained mouth grew to an open square. If ever a face meant death, I saw it at that moment. Then suddenly she turned and vanished in the direction of the tomb.
child is unharmed. We leave him in a safe place where the police find him. There's more to do. Come!
Now we're in the tomb. There, in the coffin, the thing lay, like a nightmare of Lucy. The pointed teeth, the blood-stained mouth. Van Helsing never looked up. From his bag he took out a book, his operating knife, a heavy hammer, and a round wooden stake, 2 or 3 inches thick, sharpened to a fine point and hardened over a fire.
Seward, the life of this unhappy woman has just begun. Then she becomes what you call undead. There comes with the change the curse of immortality. She cannot die, but must go on age after age, adding new victims, because all that die from the preying of the undead become themselves undead and prey on others. So the circle goes on, ever widening, as of the ripples from a stone thrown into the water. But if this lady, this undead, be made to rest as true dead, then the soul of the poor lady whom we love should be free again.
Tell me, what am I to do?
Take this stake in your left hand, the hammer in your right.
Yes?
Place the point over the heart.
Here?
Then I begin the prayer for the dead. In God's name, strike.
Oh.
Are you ready? Retorque marum in adversarios meos. Strike! Strike!
On the morning of July 11th, a man was found on the border of Transylvania. He talked wildly of wolves and boxes of earth and blood. He gave his name as Jonathan Harker. In a hospital at Klausenburg, he improved sufficiently to make possible his removal to England. It was during this time that his wife, Mina Harker, brought to the attention of Dr. Van Helsing and myself the journal that her husband had kept as prisoner in the castle of a certain Count Dracula in Transylvania. I have before me the record of a meeting that took place in my study in Purfleet, transcribed by Mina Harker.
October 1st, meeting again, 10 after 8. Jonathan next to me, Dr. Seward afterwards, and Dr. Van Helsing at the head of the table.
My friends, there are such things as vampires. Had I known at first what now I know, one so precious a life would have been spared for the many of us who love her. The vampire which is amongst us is himself so strong that he can direct all the elements, the storm, the fog, the thunder. He can command all the meaner things, the moth, the bat, the owl, the fox, and the wolf. How then are we to begin our stride to destroy him? How shall we find his place? And, having found it, how can we destroy? My friends, it is a terrible task that we undertake. To fail here is not mere life or death. If we fail, we become as him, foul things of the night, as him. What do you say?
I'm with you.
The professor laid a small golden crucifix on the table. We took hands and our solemn pact was made.
My friends, we too are not without strength. The vampire flourishes on the blood of the living. Without this he cannot live. He throws no shadow, he makes no reflection in a mirror. He can transform himself to a wolf, to a bat. He can come on moonlight rays as elemental dust. He can see in the dark, he can do all these things, yet he is not free. His power ceases at the coming of the day. Then, until night, he must remain in the shape in which he finds himself, and, except in his coffin home, in those earth boxes he cannot rest. When we can confine him in his coffin, then, my friends, if we obey what we know, we will destroy him. Log entry. From the Count's castle in Transylvania to Whitby came 50 boxes of earth. All of these, to our certain knowledge, were delivered at Carfax. Recently, 12 of these boxes have been removed. First step, ascertain whether all the rest remain in the deserted house next door, or whether any more have been removed. We must break each of these boxes and sterilize the earth with holy water so he can no longer seek safety in it. And we must hurry.
The events of the next few days are described in Jonathan Harker's journal.
October 2nd, 5 a.m. Just returned from the empty house. Left Mina here at home. Well, we've done our work at Carfax. The place was filthy, the air stagnant and foul, alive with rats. We counted the boxes. Only 38 of them. And over each one the professor went through the same mysterious work. It was dawn when we got back. I found Mina asleep. She looks paler than usual.
October 2nd. Soon after they left, I fell asleep. I remember hearing the sudden barking of the dogs, and then it was silent. I got up and looked out of the window. There was a thin streak of white mist moving across the grass along the wall of the house. It dawned on me that the air in the room was heavy and dank and cold. The gaslight came only like a tiny red spark in the fog. I could see through my eyelids. The mist grew thicker and thicker. Then, as I looked, the spark divided and seemed to shine on me through the fog like two red eyes.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, blood of my blood, blood of my blood, blood of my blood.
October 2nd, 8 p.m. We were on the right track. 12 boxes were delivered to an empty house at 337 Piccadilly.
My dear friends, until the sun sets tonight, Dracula must retain whatever form he now has. We have this day to hunt out all his lairs and sterilize them. Then he will have no place he can move and hide. But we have only till sunset.
The house in Piccadilly was empty, and just like the one at Purfleet, the same sickening smell is in the air. On the table we found a clothes brush, a brush and a comb and a basin, the latter containing dirty water which was reddened as if with blood.
The boxes are back here. 8, 9, 10, 11.
Only 11?
There's a 12th box somewhere.
Gentlemen, it is after 6. The sun is setting. We have no time to lose. He will return at any moment. Open the boxes.
Quiet.
Listen. Here it is.
The window.
You waste your bullets, gentlemen. You think you baffle me? You with your pale faces, all in a row like sheep in a butcher's. You think you have left me without a place to rest, but I have more, and time is on my side. The one you love is mine already. I have known her. Already my mark is on her throat. Flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. She is with me always, over land and sea.
October 4th morning. Another meeting in the study at Purfleet.
We must find that last remaining box, gentlemen. We must find it. As long as that earth exists and pure, as long as there remains one place of refuge for Dracula, there is no safety and no peace for any soul in England.
Undead never peace so long as he lives. Blood of my blood, blood
Mina.
of my blood.
Mina, how do you know that?
Quiet, quiet.
With me always, over land and sea.
Mina, my dear, how did you know that Dracula said those...
I don't know. The words just came. Strange. There are times when somehow I feel that I'm with him.
At sunset?
Yes, just as the sun sets. And again at sunrise. Dr. Van Helsing, if at those times you...
Have you the courage?
The courage for what? What do you mean?
Dr. Van Helsing here will question me.
I will question her, yes. In a state of hypnosis. The one you love is already mine, he said. She is with me always, over land or sea. Oh, Count Dracula. Perhaps she will betray you if she is really with you. This one we love, who knows? If she is really with you over land or sea.
Blood of my blood.
Mina?
Yes?
Answer me, Mina. Are you with him?
Yes, I am with him.
Where are you?
I do not know. It is all dark.
What do you hear?
The lapping of water. I can hear it on the outside.
Then, you are on a ship?
Yes.
What else do you hear?
There is the creaking of an anchor chain.
Mina, what are you doing?
Still. oh so still. It's like death. It's like death.
Here's a report from the Matson Peabody, shipbrokers, dated October 5th. According to Lloyd's list, the only sailing ship that left for the Black Sea yesterday was the Tsarina Katrina, bound for Varna. Somehow, before she sailed, a man came alongside, all in black, driving a cart with a great box in it. This he lifted down single-handed and carried below. No one remembers seeing him after that. A heavy mist came up over Doolittle Dock until sailing time. The rest of London harbour remained completely clear.
Our plans are made. The average sailing time from London to the Black Sea is 3 weeks. We can travel over land to the same place in 3 days. We shall be there waiting for him when he arrives.
October 15th, arrived Varna about 5 o'clock. Mina feels stronger. Every morning before sunrise and just before sunset, she speaks to Van Helsing in a trance.
Are you with him, Mina? Tell me, are you with him?
I am with him.
What can you see?
Nothing. All is dark.
What can you hear?
I can hear the waves lapping against the ship and the water rushing by. The wind is high. I can hear it in the shrouds and the foam.
So the Tsarina Katrina is still at sea, hastily to Varna. The Count cannot cross running water, so he cannot leave the ship without being observed.
What do you hear, Mina?
Lapping waves and rushing water. Darkness. Darkness.
A whole week of waiting. Dated telegram from Lloyd's. It says, not yet reported.
October 24th. Telegram, Lloyd's, London to Harker. Tsarina Katrina reported this morning from Dardanelles. And now, this one. Lloyd's, London to Harker, October 28th. Tsarina Katrina in heavy fog. Reported entering Galatz Harbour at 1 o'clock today. Galatz! Not Varna! Galatz is 38 hours from here, and the first train for Galatz leaves at 6:30 tomorrow morning, my friends. We have lost!
I am with you. I can see nothing. Nothing. I can hear men's voices calling in the roar and the prick of the wind. I can feel the air blowing.
October 29th, evening. We are due between 2 and 3 in the morning, but already at Bucharest we are 3 hours late.
What's going on? I feel something pass me like the cold wind. I can hear far off confused sounds, as of men talking in strange tongues, fierce, falling water and the howling of wolves. There is another sound, a queer sound, like...
Oh God, speak, Mina, speak. I command you. I command you to speak.
Arrived in Galatz, saw the captain of the Tsarina Katrina.
Welcome aboard. We are over an hour before sunup. We receive a box for a party by the name of Dracula. Had his papers.
There are 2 ways in which Dracula can get back to his own place, by land or by water.
We've examined the map and found the most likely river is the Sereth.
You and I, Seward, will charter a steam launch and follow him up the river. Van Helsing and Mina will take a train to Veresti, and from there...
And there, we shall go in the track where Harker went to Bistritza, over to Borgo. If you have not caught him before, we shall be meeting Dracula there.
October 31st. We arrived at Veresti at noon. Van Helsing and I brought the carriage here. We start in an hour. Our enemy is still on the river.
October 31st. We can earn good speed up the river at night. There's plenty of water and the banks are wide apart.
November 1st, evening. No news all day. We hear that a big boat went up the river before us, going at more than usual speed.
November 4th. All day driving. The country gets wilder as we go. By morning, we should reach the Borgo Pass.
November the 4th, evening. We have left the launch. We've got horses, and we follow on the track along the river. We are armed.
Look, quick! There they are now, heading west.
Through the dawn, we can see the Slovaks, some miles before us, dashing along the river with their wagon. On it is a large box.
Late in the afternoon, we leave the Borgo Pass.
Van Helsing, look! Look!
We could see a long way all around, far off beyond the white waste of snow, like a black ribbon curling between us and the river. Not far off, came a group of men, mounted Slovaks riding along. In the midst of them was a wagon that swept from side to side. On that wagon was a large box.
Look!
We see 2 horses following fast, coming up from the south. Seward and Harker. The Slovaks with their heavy wagons are losing their ground. Now they must not be more than a mile behind. Now the wagon is quite closer. We can see the great box shifting from side to side. Now they are almost upon us. Now has happened a strange thing. The wagon smashed into a great rock, buried in the snow, lost its front wheel, and turned over on its side, jammed against the stone. The horses tore loose from their tracers and bolted, and the Slovaks scattered and vanished after them. Then silence. Silence like comes after ringing a bell.
Look! His face!
It is Dracula, sprawled out stiff and twisted in the smear of his own holy earth. The box in falling has emptied the dirt onto the snow. His face is old-looking. The skin is like paper. Dr. Seward, there is no time. Look at the sun. In 1 minute it is sunset, and he is forever lost to us. Have you the stake of wood and the hammer?
Yes.
Sunset.
Flesh of my flesh, guilt of my guilt,
Seward,
death
pray
of my
for
death.
us. Kneel down and pray. Harker, the stake of wood over his heart. Do not be afraid, Harker. Do not look into his eyes. The hammer. Now, Harker, strike! Strike!
I'm speaking behind his eyes.
Strike!
Give them to me. Jonathan, give them to me. Give me the stick and the wood and the hammer.
Harker!
I shall never forget that moment. The look on poor Mina's face as she stood there, the angry scar standing out in her throat, her eyes like living coals in the last red of the sunset. She had torn the stake and the hammer out of my hands with the strength of an animal.
Mina, do you know what you have done, woman? Do you know what you have done to us? You have released him. The evil is free.
Look, the sun!
As we looked down at Dracula, the eyes saw the sinking sun, and the hate in them turned to triumph.
My flesh, you must speak, my love. Come into light in the darkness. You have served me well, my love.
When Mina Harker seized the stake and hammer from her husband, I believe she was under the power of Dracula. She herself remembers nothing. But whatever his influence was, she must at the very last moment have rejected it. For at the exact instant the sun disappeared, it was Mina Harker who drove the stake through the heart of the thing that called itself Dracula. At that same instant, even as we looked, the wound on the side of her throat was no more. As for Dracula, before the screams of the creature had died from our ears, the whole body crumbled into dust and passed from our sight. In the final moment of the solution, there was on his face a look of peace, such as I could never have imagined.
Chilling tales for dark nights.